Hi there. Welcome to our podcast, Unseen to Unstoppable. I'm your host, Ilene Carol, and today our guest is Jonelle Marie Carter. Jonelle is an entrepreneur, a speaker, a coach whose journey from overcoming a rare form of cancer to founding a successful business showcases her determination and passion for empowering others. With nearly 3 decades of experience in the beauty and music industries, she inspires individuals through her Glow events, focusing on personal and professional development. As a best-selling author and seasoned speaker, Jonelle emphasizes the importance of self-belief and growth, motivating audiences to find their voices and inner light. Jonelle, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. I never knew that you are a cancer survivor. I never knew that. Tell me about that if you don't mind, if you want to, that's something you want to talk about, because I just never knew that. I never knew that about you.
Absolutely. So, what's interesting about my cancer diagnosis is it was really the end of a lot of things for me, but a rebirth of so many things as well. And so I actually really love talking about that time in my life. So as you said, I'm a musician, I'm a singer-songwriter, and I was diagnosed with a very rare form of cancer in my throat called parathyroid cancer. So the thyroid, everybody's familiar with that. We have these little parathyroid glands that are parallel to the thyroid, and they control your calcium. And the type of cancer that I had is 1 in 3 million diagnosis. So very rare. And the tumor was wrapped around my vocal cord. So as a singer, a really unfortunate place to have a tumor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So was because of where it was,
Mhm.
and you're a singer, is that how, was that the how you found out?
So actually, I had a relative who had a brain tumor, and I kept having these headaches, and I thought, oh my gosh, I have this too. I'm sure I have this too. And so I went to the doctor, and he said, let's just do a workup. We'll do a CT scan. We'll do some blood work, and everything came back perfect except for my calcium. My calcium was high. And, I didn't know. I thought, well, I've been working out more. I've been drinking more protein shakes with probably more calcium in them. And turns out that that was how we found it, was my calcium was high. They did some more testing, and my PTH, which was supposed to be between like 6 and 11, was near 30,000. And so
What?
that is how it was discovered.
So you didn't have any other symptoms other than these headaches?
I did not. Looking back, I do remember where there were times where I would get like a sharp pain in my throat when I was singing, and I would kind of like massage it, almost like if you had, like a muscle cramp or something.
Mhm.
And I still don't know if that was a physical symptom or if that was like a metaphysical symptom of like, something pointing to that area. I'm a big believer that when we have something going on, you'll get some signs and symptoms that might not be, um, you know, actually physical, that kind of try to nudge you and say, hey, there's something happening here.
Right. And
Yeah.
so how did these personal challenges sort of shape your vision and approach to your coaching, your entrepreneurship that you do?
So when I talk to people about this, I tell everybody I feel like I went to sleep one person and woke up another when I had my surgery for this cancer. Um, After my surgery, I lost my voice, my ability to sing, and I couldn't speak. I still can't yell, but there was a whole year where I lost my voice. And so in that year, I did a lot of deep diving and thinking. There was a lot of depression and anxiety and fear and anger. And then I had this realization that I felt like, oh my gosh, if I could just have my voice back, there are so many things that I need to say to women, that I want to say about my journey, that could help others. And when my voice did come back, that's the first thing I realized I needed to do. And so I turned that pain into a purpose, and that's how this all started.
So is this the inspiration behind you transitioning into this holistic wellness that you do?
Yeah, and interestingly enough, so my husband is a massage therapist and has been for years. We both have a medical background, and when we opened up our massage and wellness clinic, we both really realized like there's so much more holistically to the body that we both want to focus on. I have my license in cosmetology. I've been a makeup artist. I have a skincare line, things like that. And we both knew like we wanted to combine the use of all of our gifts. And that's really what was the driving force behind our wellness clinic.
That's awesome. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, were you working for a company full time for someone else up until around 2011?
I was, yeah. I was working for a really big hospital system. Like I said, my husband and I had both gone to nursing school. I was working my way through school. I had really a future in healthcare as far as I was concerned. And I had a situation. Well, actually, the diagnosis was a really big part of it. When I was going to work after my surgery and after having cancer, I really was like, I feel like I can serve on such a in a different capacity.
Hmm.
And I decided that's really when I wanted to make a change. And then I had an opportunity fall into my lap to open my first business, which was a salon. Um, and I had never been a small business owner before. And I had actually sort of had a lot of changes in the healthcare industry at the same time. And it just lined up perfectly. And I took the jump, the scariest jump I've ever made, but the best jump I've ever made.
When you and I once talked, you were telling me how there was nearly 100% staff retention. And I don't know if we discussed it. Even if we did, I want to share this with the audience. What do you think played a role in that? Like, what values or strategies do you believe contributing to, having, just about 100 people still employed with you from the time you opened to the time you turned it over to someone else?
Yeah, I'm really proud of that statistic too. And what I think really worked for me is I see in all that I do, my number one goal is to see the person. So making sure that I was building relationships with the staff and the people that we had on board and really finding their gifts that is such a huge thing for me. Finding, recognizing, and honoring what the talent and the gifts that each person brought to the table and creating opportunity, making sure they were in alignment in their careers with what they were great at. And
Hmm.
I really think that it seems so simple when you say it out loud, but
Right.
making sure that people feel seen, heard, valued, and really putting them in a place where they can flourish and grow. And, it's worked for us. It's worked in both of our businesses, and we're really proud of that statistic.
So when you turned it over, I think it was someone that was already working there, correct?
Yeah.
You wanted to mentor her and everything. How long has that been since you turned that over to this young woman?
Yeah, it'll be a year ago in March.
How's she doing?
She's doing wonderful. She's
That's
doing
awesome.
fantastic. She's grown the team. I still go in a couple times a month. I just couldn't let go yet. Just my clientele is, you know, I have so much fun there. Like we love, it's like a big daytime slumber party when all the girls are at the salon. And so I wasn't quite ready to let it go. And it's been such a joy to watch. I knew that I took it as far as I could take it. And I was ready to step into a different lane. And I knew she was ready to really just take it and
Mhm.
grow some wings on it. It's been beautiful to watch.
And so now the business that you have now, is that your professional development that you're doing that we talked about?
Yeah, it is. So I do professional development and I do personal development within the professional lane, which is a little bit unique, I think.
Mhm.
Um, and that is what I'm doing full time. So I'm a full time singer songwriter, playing music still, and then now stepping into these roles of speaking, motivational speaking, coaching, and just loving it. I mean, I'm going to be 47 years old this year, and it's like a kind of a brand new career, but it's been I know it's the right thing because I'm so excited every day to get into my office and face the challenges and all the things that it brings.
How do you prepare for your public speaking engagements?
I have found that I have to really center myself and ground. Um, it's very similar to music for me. And so you and I talked about being on and being off and things like that. And so for me, when I'm on, if I'm on stage, if I'm on, whether I'm speaking or whether I'm playing music, I really get very centered. I do a lot of prayer. I do a lot of meditation. I really ask, God and my guides to just use me as a conduit and use my voice for the message that needs to be heard. And, it works for me. I realize that after I'm done speaking or after I'm done performing, I really need to rest because I feel like I just get out there, put it all out there, leave it all out there, and then kind of step back into myself. And it's like, whew. So, a lot of focusing, grounding, breathing. Um, those are some of my techniques that I use.
And so I'm sitting here trying to think of the word because I need it too, but I don't know why I can't think of the word. I don't know if it's not recoup. What is it? When you have to step away for a minute, to rebuild, reboot, rebuild, reset.
Mhm.
I can't think of
Yeah,
the word I want to use, but anyhow, you get what I'm saying. I mean,
I do.
you have to sort of, I'm going to say retreat. You're going to have to retreat to kind of
Yeah,
recover,
yeah,
Uh,
for sure. And this is something that's, I think, new for me as like I recognize that this is new for me, because when you're using and you're stepping into the shoes of your higher self, let's just say that, and you're using your gifts to the best of your ability, it takes a lot of energy. It's like energetically a lot. And so I think there's such a balance between both recovery and delivery, and recognizing that and honoring that is really important.
It really is. So one day I was, on social media because and this has come up in every single conversation I've had in these podcasts. But now this is going to be positive because I've had something negative to say. And the first time I said it, it was a young woman, and I very accomplished, and I said, I feel like I'm two-faced, and she's like, you're not two-faced, because I told her, I said, here I am, I own a marketing and advertising agency, and I can't stand, I shouldn't use the word hate, but I did in that podcast, so I won't say it here. I just can't stand social media.
Mhm.
I just can't. I just, and I don't know what I have to do every day to kind of be involved, but I just don't like any of it. And I get the whole um there's positive building, brand
Sure.
building, things like that and whatever. But I guess in order to get to that, you have to see all the other stuff. And I just, and I feel like
Mhm.
the condition of, I don't know about other countries, but I guess here in the United States, everybody's, there's a lot of people that are, I shouldn't say everyone, but majority of people are depressed.
Mhm.
And for me personally, I don't know, I got a pea brain. I attribute that to social media,
There's
and
so much.
and
Yeah.
how often you're on it and not setting boundaries for how often you're on it, you know,
Yes.
and
Well, there's constant comparison. And I think I want to compare something that might make you feel better about, um, how you said you're in the media, but you don't love social media. I mean, I'm on stages all the time, but I do not love crowds. I mean, I
right.
am very introvert when I'm not on a
Mhm.
stage. And
Mhm.
so I think that's common and okay to not,
Okay.
you know, I don't think that's something you should feel bad about.
Well, what I wanna say is, because this is the good part that I wanna say is a post of yours came up because here's something, I don't know if, people that are listening to this particular podcast are people who are trying to build their brand on social media. So I'll give you this little tidbit if you are. Um, you have to engage with other people.
Mhm.
People, in my line of work, people complain all the time about, the lack of followers and numbers and things like that. Um, I don't know what kind of word to use, but um, social media is something where, and there's still going to be takers on there. It doesn't matter if like their stuff and comment. That doesn't mean that person's going to come back and do yours. But um, it's called social media for a reason. You have to be social on it. And that's how the algorithm of all these platforms are built on. They're built on how social you are. I see people posting, and they have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 likes. And that's why, because they're not engaging with their audience. You've got to
Sure.
set aside time to do that. So when I set aside my time to do that, I saw your post and I was like, this girl can't become any more impressive to me. It was you were at an event.
Oh gosh.
and, and there were women there and pamphlets and this and that and signs and so and everything. And I was like, what in the world? What is she doing now? And then, I see this thing. I guess you say GLOW, but it's probably an acronym, right?
It is, yes, yeah.
So, so,
Yeah.
so let's talk about that because I'm like, oh my goodness, I want to come.
You should totally come. So Glow really started out, 6 years ago, as just an acronym for growth, love, opportunity, and worth. And those are the pillars that Glow stands on. And I've said it once, I'll say it a million times. My mission is to make sure that every woman feels seen, heard, valued, understood. They know their importance, because I've been on the other side of that. And that was really my fire behind getting Glow started. How can we, you know, support these women in feeling all of those things, growth and love and opportunity and worth, and them understanding. And uh, so Glow started out as a program, a discovery mapping program, where we walk through and we kind of do these fun little activities, and ultimately it narrow things down to finding your gift. Um, but then I realized how much I love being on stage. and
I saw that. I was like, look at her.
Yeah, and how much I love putting on events. And, we all have those moments, I think, especially as creatives, where we're like, should I be an event coordinator? And my husband's like, if you open one more business,
See, that's what I'm
seriously,
saying. I need to talk to your
don't.
husband, okay? Because I'm like, what is she doing now?
Oh, you're not going to be an event coordinator. So I'm like, okay, well, how can I do both? And that's
Oh.
really when the Glow event was born. And so, yes, we had our very first annual Glow event this past October. And what was really neat is that I got to kind of be the host and the MC, and I put other speakers on that stage, women who some were already speakers and some were like, are you crazy? I've never ever done any public speaking. And I was like, I know, but your story needs to be told, and it needs to be heard. So it was really an unforgettable day. And we're going to keep going. We've had a lot of positive feedback, and my vision for it is to have an annual Glow event, but then I would love to be able to take it on the road and, have it in different parts of the country or the world. In fact, right now we're in the planning stages for a possible Glow Toronto, which would be just surpasses everything I ever thought it could be.
So let's go back to that. So where are they? Where are they now? Where have they been locally? Like, where's the location of these events?
So the suburbs of Chicago. So I live southwest of Chicago, and right now they're just locally for us in Chicago, which is great because Chicago is such a great hub, um, and that's where our second annual one will be. But in between that, I think we're squeezing in this Glow Toronto because I have some of my team lives in Toronto, and they flew in for the October event, and they were like, women in Toronto need this. And I was just like, I was so, is it the word that I'm looking for? Like, it was such confirmation that this dream that I had 6 years ago, that I was, scribbling things down on a piece of paper, it really is needed. It's just amazing to me. So I'm excited to watch it blossom and grow.
So I have questions now. Okay, so now it's it's in Chicago. Do you have other women coming from other places, or is just women from Chicago showing up? Aside from
So,
your team in Toronto.
so right now, so the first one was really just local women.
Okay.
And which I expected because it's like anything else, like if you're going to put a concert on, how are people going to know about this? Okay, well, it's going to be word of mouth. And so uh, I booked Glow, our second Glow event, um, for next October, and I have high hopes that we're going to, grow and spread out logistically, or I guess have people from all over. I'm hoping that's what happens. So right now it was just local. Um, but it was really cool because when I looked at the audience, we had 100 women there, and
That's what I'm saying. I was like, what in the world?
yeah, and I didn't know them all, which was really, really cool.
So that's why I have questions. I'm just like, as a marketer, I'm like, how did you get, I mean, of course it's you that, you draw the energy, but I mean, just, 100 women to show up. Was there a fee? Where did you hold the event? Like, is it at a hotel?
Yeah, we did. My husband and I played an event at this hotel, and conference center, and I fell in love with it. And I said, this is where I think I would want our first Glow event. And that's worked with a wonderful, woman who helped put that together. And yeah, we sold tickets, and, I said, I want 100 women to come. And 3 weeks before the event, we had like 55 tickets sold, and I was like, "Ooh, I don't think we're gonna make our 100." And in those last couple of weeks, I had 99, and then I had a lady walk in and said, "I don't even know if I can get a ticket." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that you're 100. That's what we asked for. That's what we
Wow.
got."
Wow. I'm going to have to hire you for, if I decide to have an event, because that was always like my thing in my mind. Like, how can I, get people to come? Because I think I've told you this. I struggle with the free culture people.
Mhm. Yes. Well, yeah, yeah. And I think perceived value is such an important piece to this conversation. Um, you know what your worth is, and then also being able to have that perceived value of saying this is worth something. And it's easy to give away our gifts, but when we're creating a career around them, it's so important to understand our worth. And that's a really hard uh thing to navigate for women, especially creatives, because we just want to give away our gifts because we
Right.
love to do it. But finding your worth and saying, this is what I'm worth, and this is what I charge, and this is what the ticket cost is, it's really empowering. But I would love to help with an event. And I think the biggest thing for us with the Glow event was also getting some sponsorships, and really getting the community involved, and then saying to a sponsor, hey, send a couple of your teammates. We'd love to have them. And, but yeah, we could talk events all day long, even though I'm not allowed to have an event company.
Because I mean, that's just not my gift. I mean, and we could maybe do another podcast on perceived value. But I just feel like for the magazine, for example, we've talked about this. I feel like the magazine should have a perceived value, but maybe it's not perceived to other people because it's a struggle with trying to monetize it.
Yeah, well, yeah, we could totally have a talk all day about this, because if you just look at the music industry alone, let's compare industries. I mean, we're giving our music away for free left and right. I mean, I got my royalty check, and I think it was like $37. And do you know how many like half a penny downloads you have to get to make $37?
Wow.
It's really, it is sad. You're right. We are in this very free culture. It's we have to stay strong on our worth. I think
Right.
that's what it
Right.
boils
Right.
down to.
Well, you offered this to me, and it wasn't that I didn't want to take it, but I was taking care of my mom and so many other things. But when we initially talked, you said, "Hey, let's talk once a month."
Yeah.
Maybe I need to take you up on that so I can be a vampire and steal some of your energy once a month.
You can have it all. I mean, I just
I'm just warning you. I'm going to be the vampire here. I'm just warning you.
I keep comparing things to music, but it's what I know. And, what I tell everybody all the time is, we can't play the same venue every single night, 365 days a year. So, I'm happy to give away contact information. I'm happy to give because that's what it's supposed to be about, in my opinion, is
Mhm.
sharing those ideas and how do we build each other up? We can't do it
Mhm.
all the time.
Right.
So,
Right. Because how I even got into the magazine business is because I was trying to raise money for ALS. My father died from ALS. And, I don't know. This is just me. Again, I said my little pea brain. I thought people were supportive of veterans and their families, things like that. Well, so my father was a veteran, so I put that out there. But I could never raise money in his memory for ALS. And then because of the company that I had back then, the people I was working with, I was like, well, let's just do a magazine. I don't even know where the idea came from, but anyhow, and we did, and we almost killed each other because it's a lot of work. And
yeah.
and so we're like, we're just going to do this one magazine around the Walk to Defeat ALS for the DMV region, and and so people bought ads for the magazine, and that's how we raised money for ALS. Me going
Wow.
around saying my father passed away from disease, he's a veteran, da 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 da, nothing. I couldn't raise water.
Isn't that something?
It
But then
is.
then you've got this, yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. And I love that you said something that really sparked my interest when you said, I don't really even know how I got the idea. Those little like God winks or like, I don't know, I call them God winks. I love when those happen. When you're like, how did this start? I don't even remember. Like, I don't even know how I thought of this. Very divine. So and look at the women that you've been able to connect with and
I
through and
know, I
to.
know, I know. In this podcast, I told a former guest that it has its own name. It's going to have its own website and social media. We haven't done anything with it yet. I just hired somebody to do the logo, and that's basically it. And I went ahead and pressed a button on starting these. But this is I I remember something that you said to me the first time we talked, and you're like, remember why you started. And
Mhm.
we never know. God speaks. You like if you. I just told the other day. I read my Bible every day, and so God speaks to you. He can speak to you through another person. You know what I mean? And so
Mhm.
I hold on to those few words. And this might be it right here. This actual podcast, because this is what it's all about: unseen to unstoppable. So many women, like you said, in your Glow project, they feel invisible. I know I did. I was the youngest of four and just always fighting to be heard and be seen in general.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and my sister, the magazine was started in her memory, just all the stuff that she went through and everything. And I was like, I guess that's just women. That's I don't want to say it like this in a negative way, but maybe that's not our fate, but you know what I mean? Like that's just something that women go through and it teaches us. Some of us learn it, some of us don't, to empower ourselves and to love ourselves. And um, sometimes you have to be your own best advocate.
You really do. And I think you're talking about social media a little earlier and like how hard it can be on people, and I think women especially because of this comparison game. And you know remembering that none of us really know what we're doing.
We don't.
We really don't. And I think it's easy for other women to look at women who advocate and who use their voices, and perceive them as strong women. And I think it's really important to remember that, to stay relatable and to show both sides. And when it comes like back to the social media thing, being relatable, that is one of just my mottos, is like, you have to be relatable. I never want to cause envy in
Right.
another woman
Right.
ever. Like, I'm
I
very
just got
cautious.
reminded of the difference between envy and jealousy. So envy is to the point where not on you don't want anybody to have, you don't want that person to have because you don't have, you don't, you know what I mean? But jealousy is kind of like, looking at what someone has and wishing you had it. But envy is you don't want that person to have it either.
You don't want that. Yeah. Yeah. I guess when you define it that way, I guess we're talking more about that jealousy.
Right.
It's so easy, I think, to see other women and think, oh, they have it all together. And, but we don't.
We don't. We
We do.
don't. But that's like, one of my guests said, stop comparing.
Yeah.
You know.
And social media does not make that easy.
It
too.
doesn't. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you got to get off that. And then, I don't know what it is. I'm not going to say my voice doesn't mean anything, but anyway, I just, people are going to do what they want to do. But I remember when, I don't know what they call themselves now, Instagram, Meta, whatever. I don't know. But anyway, they decided to change their platform into being more video oriented because they're trying to compete with TikTok.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh,
so
yeah.
I saw so many people, whatever, it didn't matter what their business was or what their brand was. Now all of a sudden everybody was doing videos of dancing and whatever, and
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm sick of this. I'm trying to scroll to get to something.
Yeah, I know. Or we try to post something and I'm like, no, I don't want it to be a reel. I want it to be a
And
post.
I'm thinking to myself, do we not have any individuality? Do we go around, every day of our lives, every day, doing what everybody else does? Like when you were in school, they kept saying, don't do what everybody else does. You know what I mean? And then when we
Uh-huh.
become adults, that's what we do. It's like we have no brain, no thought process of our own. Whatever somebody else doing, we follow suit. Like we have to do it too.
Uh-huh. Yeah, everybody just wants to fit in, right? We just want to not be, but that's really, we're told both. I don't know if have you seen the Barbie movie?
I can't.
There was, there was a scene. Hold on. There was a
Okay,
scene.
wait, one more laugh. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What's the scene?
There was a scene in is it America Ferrera? Is that how you say her name? I can't think of the actress, but she was
Uh-huh.
saying like, we're told that we have to be pretty, but not too pretty. We need to be healthy, but skinny, but not too skinny, but skinny. We have to be relatable, but like not too relatable. And that's what just reminded me of what you said. Like we have to fit in, but we need to stand out.
It's
And
crazy, but I mean, but for me, I hope I didn't cut you off. But for me, I'm
no,
just saying, like, it's not just, and I'm not just picking on that, like the social media. My husband and I were talking about something, I can't remember what it was, but I was saying to him, it's like, why do people feel like they got to do what somebody else is doing? Like, why can't, like,
uh-huh.
I'm trying to figure out how to word, I keep saying like, because I can't get my thought together. It's, what's wrong with not doing that? Like, why can't you have a conversation with yourself and say, I that's not for me, or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be, but it's not like that.
Well, and I think that would take a lot of pressure off of people. And if you're able to say, that's great that you can, get on your social media and do the dance and look so cute and do all the things, but that's just not the way that I put my message out there. Or, uh, yeah, there's also, I think, a fine line between being inspired and feeling like you have to chase the next thing.
Right.
Like,
That's it. That's the word I'm looking for, chasing. One of my cousins, he has a business, and he told me, he said, when I figured out, how did he have that word? It was so profound. But anyhow, basically, he was saying when he got to that point, that he didn't have to chase, and he stopped chasing, things just came to him.
yeah, attract, don't chase. Right?
Right.
How are you attracting?
Right.
Um,
Before I forget, I want to go back to your Glow event. What's the date of your next event in case somebody wants to attend? They're in Chicago or they're going to be in Chicago. What's the date?
yeah, so it's going to be October 19th. It's a Sunday. It is an all-day event. So then we start at doors open at, I think it was 9 o'clock. We start programming at 10 with brunch and go through the afternoon. And I'm going to get the ticket link up soon. And I think February 1st is when the ticket link will go live. And there will be kind of like special pricing up and through until the summer. And then
Okay.
regular pricing will start. Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, the other question is, because I want people to hone in on the uniqueness of your event. There are a lot of events I see people posting, for women, things like that. What do you feel makes your event unique, or stand out, or different from these events empowering women and things like that we see? Like, what makes yours? Because someone said in Toronto, we need this here in Toronto. What made them say that?
So we tried to really drive home the idea that this event was a come as you are. We don't want you, if you feel like you need to dress to the nines and show up, awesome. But if you feel like you barely can get yourself out of bed and you want to show up in your sweatpants and your slippers, awesome. We just want you to be here. I think we're shattering the idea that supporting women needs to be uh, such a false precedence, if that makes sense. Like
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
such a it. We wanted people to show up authentically. That was my prayer, and it really happened. And so, um, I think creating a safe space for women to just feel comfortable. But then I think also, because I have so many years of experience in the entertainment industry, one of the things that was really important for me was that every sense was hit. So when you walked in, the way the room was set, the lighting, the music, all of it was intentional.
Uh-huh.
Every down to what we ate was intentional. And I think for a lot of the women that were there, they're like, I can't really explain what it was, but it just felt good here. And so
Mm,
that was such a compliment, because that's what I was trying to do,
okay.
is making it just feel really good. So um encouraging women to show up just really authentically as themselves. And I sat women at tables where they didn't know other women, which was, I think, uncomfortable at first, but then quickly
Uh-huh.
became a really great way to connect. And then I think the final way was that we did wrap around an organization. So one of the things that we did is we had a blank canvas, and every woman that came in the door that day left their mark on that canvas with some paint, whether they drew a heart or or a swivel or whatever they drew. And then we that piece of art is being donated to a women's shelter to remind those women that they're not alone. And so there was just a lot of emotion behind. I think everybody got to take a deep breath and shake off any just stress that they had, and
Uh-huh.
felt like they belonged in that room.
That's amazing.
It was hard. It's hard to explain what made it so unique, but it definitely, the energy was
You don't
very beautiful.
realize, but I mean, I'm hearing things that even, I mean, I don't spend a whole lot of time, but when I peruse and I see things, or I get invitations in my email, and maybe it's just because of how you said it. I mean, I can tell that it's true to you, and so maybe you. Sometimes, it's the person behind the brand, which is you. But then also just what you said. I mean, just it's relatable. Who said that? Was that you? I don't know. Somebody said that. Maybe it's a lady I talked to before, but just it's being
Well, that's
relatable.
yeah, that's a very, very important for me, is to be relatable, and to make people feel comfortable, and like you. So I grew up in a European family where we had a large dining room table, and there were many, many people around that table, always, some friends, some families, some strangers. And so I grew up with the thought process of there's a place at the table for everyone. And definitely the Glow event felt that way,
Hmm.
scoot on
Hmm.
over, like, let's make room. There's plenty for everybody here.
Wow,
And um, it was a beautiful day. Yeah, I'm excited for 2025.
that is awesome. The other thing I didn't realize, as I said, you keep surprising me. You've written two books.
I
Or
have.
let me rephrase. Are there more books than these two books, or is it just these two books?
Well, there's actually three books and a workbook. But two books are my books that I've written. Um, my first book, More Than a Country Song, and then my second book, Stage Lights. But when I published Stage Lights, I actually published another book that I wrote for a couple that live in our town, called 1% of 1%. And it was a story about my friend Katie's survival of an AVM. So she had a brain aneurysm, and 1% of people survive that type of aneurysm, and she had 2 of them. So she's honestly, technically, like, if you do the math, she's 1 in a million.
Wow. Wow.
So that book came out right when Stage Lights came out. But yes, so my 2 books, More
How
Than a
long did
Country
it take
Song.
you to write the books, approximately?
So my first book, More Than a Country Song, did not take me that long because it's my memoir. And so it was easier because it's my story, my life story. You know, I when I talk to women and coach women through writing books, which I do a little of, I remind them, like, you know the story. It's your life, you know? And so that one took me, I would say, probably like 9 months. Now, I have to be honest, we had COVID in the middle of that. So we had a shutdown and I had nothing to do.
Nothing to do. Yeah. Yeah.
So I got to focus a lot on that. My
Okay.
second book, Stage Lights, took probably 2 years.
Okay.
It was much different. It's more of a guide to finding and using your gifts. It's definitely like something you could study a step by step, take notes. That's what the workbook is for. It goes hand in hand with that book. It's a companion piece, but 2 equally wonderful projects for me to work on. I loved them both. Very different. They're like siblings, you know?
Okay. And so we've talked about this before, but just because of the theme of our podcast is unseen to unstoppable, what advice would you give women looking to find their voice and feel seen and heard and valued?
So I am a huge advocate and believer of surrounding yourself around the right people, first of all. Creating a support system around yourself helps you so much to be able to to feel safe using your voice, telling your stories, feeling seen and valued, really understanding how important of a piece you are in this world. And then creating some boundaries around that, not giving away your energy to places or people that aren't giving it back, keeping yourself in a safe place as far as energetically, meaning you're not just going to give it all and then just find yourself exhausted afterwards. Really speaking up for yourself and what you believe in. When I speak to women, I tell them all the time, listen, I believe in you already, and I don't even know you when I'm speaking to a group, but I know what we're capable of. I know where I was and where I am. And so my advice is to just remember who you are. And like I told you, why you started, and understanding that you are a huge piece of this puzzle. So when I leave an event, I actually have a puzzle, and every woman gets a piece of the puzzle
That's
as a
awesome.
reminder.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
So women all over the country, well, the world now, have pieces of this puzzle. So for one, it kind of, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Represents that we're all in it together. And then, if you look at a 1,000-piece puzzle and one piece is missing, even if it's a tiny little corner piece, you're going to notice.
Oh, absolutely.
And so it's just a reminder that how important our piece is in this world and our gift, and that we're needed.
What kind of puzzle do you get?
So I have a puzzle that says glow.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
But nobody's able to put it together because they all have a piece of it.
They all have a piece of it. Yep. They all have a piece
How
of
did
it.
you
So
get that
someday,
made?
I had it made through a company. I'll have to send you the information. They
Yes,
can
that's
just
awesome.
customize. You could put like a picture on it, and I just send them my
Oh,
logo,
I love
and
it. Then maybe I'll do one for Unseen.
Yeah, you should. So it's funny because it started out with we started giving rocks away. Like at first, I saw this speaker that I fell in love with, and she gave away rocks with her initials on them. And I did that for like the first couple of years. Everybody got a rock. Well, everybody still gets a smaller rock, but um, my husband, we went to like I don't know if you have Menards where you're at, but like Home Depot, Menards, and got like
Home Depot.
okay, so we got like this huge, bag of rocks, and he washed every single one of them and dried them, and he's like, "Honey, the rocks are so heavy to carry. Can we get something lighter?" And I was so sad. I was like, I love the rocks. But then we decided on the puzzle piece.
No,
It's a
I
lot.
love the puzzle.
Yeah. And it's neat because, you know, like I said, when I speak, everybody gets a piece of the puzzle. But at the event, everybody got a couple extra little things. But they really love these symbolic things that remind them, I end the way that I do my speaking the same way every time. And it's this: I say, when we leave here today, we're going to go home. We're going to feel empowered. We're going to feel great. And you know what's going to be waiting for us? Laundry and dishes and text messages and unread emails and all the things. And we're going to fall back into our day. And so I just remind them that when they're digging through their purse trying to find their keys 3 weeks later and they pull out this crusty little puzzle piece, to remember this day, remember their time with me, and remember how important they are.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness. I told you, your brain, the way your brain works. So we know that you're not going to be an event planner.
Nope.
Husband has put his foot down, but looking ahead, no event planning. What are your future goals for your personal and professional development company, or for yourself?
Yeah. So I envision myself this year and the next few years traveling and speaking as much as possible. That's what really my number one goal is to connect with as many people as I can, and creating the event once a year or twice a year if we can kind of get it, nationally or globally in different locations and regions. And so definitely leaning into the Glow event and finding stages and corners and bookstores or wherever I can have to go and speak and connect with women all over the place. And so and to eat at every great restaurant that I can.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes.
I'm somewhat of a foodie. I'm gonna see. I don't post it on social media, but I do. I want to remember the moments. I take a photo of the plate. The plate always looks so nice, and
Hmm.
so I'll take a photo of it.
I'm such a foodie. And I started just a love of food blog called Je Mange, which means I eat in French. And, but my business coach was like, kind of like my husband. I'm like, have you been talking to my husband? Cause she's like, okay, you have to pause on the food blog because we have got to I think creatives, we get halfway through an idea and then we get a new idea and it's
We
like,
don't finish anything.
no, we have to finish the first one. So I am grounded from event planning and grounded from food blogging for a while.
We don't finish anything. Oh my goodness. So I always ask everyone this: what is your favorite? And it's just one, because I know, like when I asked you before, you did all three. But what's your favorite quote, motto, or mantra, and why?
Um, I I love relate, don't create envy. Um, we know, as a reminder, I just always have to remember I have it posted all over my office so that I can look up and see it. Relate versus envy. And remembering that when I'm posting on social media or if I'm on a stage and you're saturated with all of this perfect, right? The reels, like you're talking about, just remembering to choose authenticity. And so that's the mantra that I live by. And just be kind. Everybody just needs to be kind and take care of each other. We're all we got.
Now that is true. If we all could just be kind,
Yes. Yep.
um, and, mindful. In order to be, to be kind, to be mindful.
Yeah.
So where can
Yes.
our audience connect with you, whether it's your professional and personal development or your Glow event? What's your website and your social media?
Yep. So the easiest way is JonelleMarieCarter.com, and it's with an O. So it's JONELLE, JonelleMarieCarter.com. And that will take you to the books, the events, the blog, the social media, all the things you can find there. If you are looking for coaching, you can find all the things there.
Thank you so much, Jonelle, for coming on and sharing your journey with us, and all the little tidbits and things and how you got there. I mean, I've been inspired by it.
Thank you. Well, you are a huge inspiration. I love Unseen to Unstoppable. It's a great title for a podcast. And the work that you do with women, like I've told you before, is incredible. And I hope you never stop because it's definitely needed.
I love doing the podcast, and so thank you for the encouragement because I used to do it a long time ago and I stopped, and then of course life happened or whatever. But yeah, I'm hoping that people will love it too because this is something that I really like to do. I think it's more so than the magazine. I think this is it because um, it's actually women's voice is being heard.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Very thankful
So thank you
for
for
you and for thanks.
I know. So thank you for your time. And I thank our listeners. And please, please, please like, share, follow, comment. Thank you for listening to our podcast, Unseen to Unstoppable. I'm your host, Ilene Carol. And until next time, bye for now.